There is an amazing verse in the Qur'an where God says, "Do not be like those who forgot God and God made them forget themselves." Now, one thing we can take from this, one point of reflection, is that those that turn away from the Creator and deny Him, by extension deny the purpose of their existence. And therefore they don't know who they are anymore, why they are. Right? And this can be understood from many different perspectives. And one perspective I touched upon in a video I put out, I believe about a week and a half ago, where I went into the logical implications of atheism and or the logical implications of naturalism and by extension atheism. And what I did was I highlighted that if you adopt these worldviews, then you lose the ability to account for, make sense of objective, not objective, but ultimate purpose, meaning, meaningful happiness, value. And it's a brilliant chapter that's covered in the Divine Reality. I really recommend you guys pick it up and read it for yourselves. And I'll link my video in the description box below as well, so you guys can go and watch that. But unfortunately, I think many people, it really upset many people, because I was just calling a spade, and it really, ruffled some feathers as well. And obviously most people attack me and ad hominem attacks X, Y, and Z, which I'm not really concerned about. But what I was more worried about was that there are people out there that are probably, left a bit confused. So I wanted to make another video to clarify certain things I spoke about.
Meanwhile, what actually happened was you got your ass handed to yourself in a well-reasoned fashion. You lied about the so-called implications of naturalism, as well as atheism. I mean, so dishonest were you that I had to spend 12 minutes correcting each lie you put out in your 5-minute video. Hell, you did it again just now in pretending that atheism must hold to naturalism, when it doesn't. There are non-naturalist atheists out there, they just don't believe in a god. And I wasn't alone in responding. Godless Cranium also got in on the action, pointing out how what you yourself had said contradicted what you later asserted about naturalism and atheism. Now their focus was a little more specific compared to my general coverage of the entire video, so both my response and theirs are well worth the watch. But of course, to acknowledge said well-reasoned dismantling would harm your audience perception of you. So once more you have to actively and knowingly lie to pretend like all you got outside of confused responses were ad homs. But that doesn't make said lie the truth. Now, did you annoy some people? Most certainly. You were caught lying about atheists for what must be the 1000th time on a topic I myself have corrected you on repeatedly. You pretended to be a mind reader who knew atheists better than they know themselves. You asserted things about us you had absolutely no basis for. So yeah, you annoyed us. That's why we responded utilizing evidence-based reasoning to the contrary of what you asserted. And here you are, carrying out damage control in today's video titled Atheism and the Value/Morality/Humanism Paradox. Seriously, work on your titles. But since we're here, let's see if you managed to learn anything since our last encounter.
What I said was that you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't on one hand claim to be a naturalist and on the other hand claim to have, purpose and meaningful happiness and value and X, Y, and Z, because these are contradictory things if you really think about them and logically follow through.
Yes, we know exactly what you asserted in your previous video. That's not what's being questioned here. What's being questioned is the basis for said assertion, namely the complete absence of basis seen in your video. We all know that you're too intellectually lazy to actually learn and study the topic of secular philosophy, so instead set about constructing this fantasy worldview which all atheists and naturalists apparently fall under. We completely understand that fact about your character. But so fucking what? Just because you can assert something does not make it true. You do not have some magical power where you speak it and it becomes so. And as we're about to see in your next diatribe, it doesn't get any better than that.
Take value for example, right? And I think it'll make better sense if I give you a bit more of a background and repeat what I said in the last video, which is that look, if you adopt naturalism, by extension atheism, what that means is you deny God. And therefore, what you claim is that everything can be explained via physical processes. Everything in existence is a result of cold, random, blind, physical stuff. That's pretty much it, right? And therefore, there is no creator, there's no intentionality behind this all. It's just an accident. Everything is an accident. I'm an accident, you're an accident, and therefore everything about us is an accident. Therefore, what does it mean to value something? Or what does it mean to say that human beings are more valuable than, for example, a chocolate rabbit, a chocolate bunny, or a pencil sharpener? Nothing really if you follow through. The pencil sharpener is a rearrangement of molecules and physical stuff. I am a rearrangement of molecules and physical stuff. Full stop. That's it. And that's crazy if you think about it, because when it comes to life and real life, what really matters is how we feel and what we know. Put the whole rational jargon aside and X, Y, and Z. When you see an innocent child being beaten on the street to death, you will scream out, even as an atheist or a naturalist, this is wrong, stop. And you will feel this in every atom of your body. But say the guy that's doing this, committing this nasty crime, turns around and asks you, well, why is it wrong? You're just going to be left in a position saying, well, it's wrong because it's wrong, right? Or some other patch philosophy that you may be using, right? And I'll explain what I mean by patch philosophy in a second. But the point being, it strips you from being able to account for the way you feel and what you know as a human being, whether that be objective morals or whether that be even value, right? The value we give to certain things.
Except you yourself inadvertently named a key difference right after you asserted there was none. Namely that both the chocolate rabbit and the pencil sharpener lack sentience, lack that thought, lack that self-awareness you mentioned with people. Present company discounted. I don't get what it is with you in contradicting yourself in every one of your videos. Like, just stop and think about what you're actually saying between sentences. Watching you flail about is truly cringe-inducing. I feel embarrassed for you. Now why do I feel that? It's called empathy. You see, whilst I think you're an abhorrent human being, I can still put myself in your shoes and imagine what it'd be like to be you, if you were self-aware. And I can do that with other people to construct an ethical system, a system of morality. Because all moral systems are constructed, whether they be naturalistic or magical. Which of course leads me on to the quote, cold, random, blind, physical stuff, end quote, that apparently means everything is just, quote, an accident, end quote. So what? Building on my previous video whilst hijacking your own example, what if the child being beaten to death on the street was the result of an accidental pregnancy? Would that suddenly exclude them from ethical discourse? Hell no. Also, the universe isn't completely cold, random, and blind. How do I know that? We are part of the universe. We are an empathetic, methodic, and hopefully thoughtful extension of the universe itself. So our very existence as stardust proves you wrong. Well done there.
Now I know some people may use certain ideas such as humanism, secular humanism, I'm a naturalist and a humanist, X, Y, and Z. But again, these are just terms. When you look at humanism, it's based on principles again. And again, take the idea of human life being precious or valuable. Where do you get this principle from? What does this even mean in the grand scheme of things? It's just, I can say, well, no, non-animate, non-living things are more valuable. Why is that statement any less than human life is valuable on naturalism or atheism, right? So you're left in a very, and this is what I meant by a bleak, cold, dark place, right? Because you know as a human being certain things are valuable. There is ultimate purpose, there is meaning, there are objective morals, right and wrong. However, you cannot now account for these on atheism or naturalism. That was my point. You cannot have your cake and eat it.
Yes, and our point was that you're a cheap lie, making up crap about us since you can't actually address what we say. Just as humanism is a term, Islam is also just a term. Islam is also just based on principles. The difference comes in where those principles are sourced from and the impact they have. I value human well-being based on observable evidence and a shared connectivity, i.e. empathy. I, as with every major ethics committee in existence, utilize said devices to construct a code of conduct, a code which is always up for review as our understanding of human and, possibly in the future, non-human nature grows. You simply hold to the magical dictatorship of some unproven entity based on some poorly written books. Those books, by the way, allow for both slavery and rape. Now, whether or not God actually exists, that doesn't change a thing. Their existence would in no way improve your morality any more than my existence does mine. The hypothetical is of God does not impact the ought of ethics and morality, unless you hold God to have value to begin with. And if that's what you require to perceive value in human life, something I question with my previous examples, how is that greater than my direct value of human life? I can actively do what you claim you can, but without relying on the currently unproven existence of a God. So, which of said positions is truly stronger? The one reliant on what we can observe, i.e. humanism, or the one entirely reliant on blind faith, i.e. Islam? Well, that's up for the people to decide. But the fact that you have to lie to them to try and convince them of your case, that screams a lot about your own insecurities. As for ultimate meaning, again, there's no such thing, so stop pretending to know what I think. What I actually think is not what you say. Meaning has always been individually formed. Some assholes just figured out that telling people otherwise was a great form of control. But I'm not like that. I'm not a machine designed by an entity to serve my purpose on a factory line before being disposed of. You claim our existence must be cold, but you're the one arguing that real meaning comes from being nothing but a robot, a slave to some magic slave owner. Your lack of self-awareness is completely and truly stunning.
That's not saying you can't keep living in a way where you still have this cognitive dissonance and you understand that there's a problem between these two ideas, but you carry on living. You can do this. But I would say that people that are sincerely looking and are honest, and I've realized this, that there's things that don't add up. You know, there's ways I feel and things I know which can't be justified or accounted for under naturalism or atheism, a worldview you're maybe currently holding on to. And those people, I just encourage them to be open that maybe there is another way of life which is correct. Because for me personally, and I'll conclude on this, for me this is a sign. Right? This is a clear sign, because I believe God created us. He made us rational. He gave us rational faculties so that we can reason and we can engage with and grapple with these ideas and things and understand that there are contradictions, just so that these could be tools which lead us to Him. Because we will see there's a contradiction. Okay, this worldview doesn't make sense. Maybe I need to drop it and keep looking. And eventually, these faculties are there to lead us to our ultimate objective, which is to worship our Creator, which is to know our Creator. You know, to come to terms with the existence of our Creator, right? And obviously, the essence of that is already within our nature, but that's another discussion.
Except the cognitive dissonance you mentioned is completely invented by yourself. There is no dissonance here. I can be a secular humanist and still hold to both morality and meaning. No God required. And I'm living, walking proof of that, and you're not demonstrated otherwise. All you have done is resorted to special pleading on part of your God, claiming that they, as a thinking entity, can construct morality and meaning, yet we as thinking entities cannot. Why? Well, because you assert so, and that's all you have. Also, you lack any right to lecture others on being sincere and honest. Your entire career has been one train wreck of actively dishonest fuck-ups, something I have personally exposed in the past. For example, you mentioned the fitra, people's inherent nature according to Islam. I've got an entire 14-video playlist, including references, dismantling the crap put out by you and Hamza Tzortzis on the subject. Tzortzis, by the way, is the shitty author of that book. Surely you remember the videos I'm on about. The ones where you and Hamza Tzortzis pretended to have sources to back your claims by reading off a researcher's entire publishing list, even though the only one that touched upon what you said was a single paragraph describing a conference presentation. And that was it. But let us not forget the book that both yourself and Hamza referenced, which had yet to be published. I mean, that just left me laughing. You're a known liar, which is why I'm not being charitable to you. You project your lack of character onto your opponents since you can't win to hope in an honest discussion. Why? Well, because the evidence is thoroughly stacked against the religion of Islam.
So yeah, I believe these are signs, and I believe that the honest person who's sincerely seeking and searching should keep an open mind and pick up on these things and realize, okay, things aren't adding up here. I need to probably keep looking, and that's simply my point, right? And one place I would encourage you to look is the Qur'an, because I, for one, believe, as do many other people, that when you honestly and sincerely approach the Qur'an, you study it and you read it, you will see the truth there, and you will see things in there which are totally different to what you hear from popular atheists and from other people, out there. And at the end of the day, every single one of us is living our own lives. Every single one of us is going to die. So it's upon every single one of us to use these faculties and abilities and what I call blessings that we've been given to their maximum, and to try and find the truth. So I leave you guys with that. Till next time, take care.
If only you take your own damn advice. I mean, even though you've had numerous people correct you on your incorrect assertions, you continue to make them, partaking in active dishonesty by this point. And do note the difference between our styles. Nowhere do I tell you what you think. I base everything I say about your position, such as your belief that Allah is the source of morality, on what you yourself have stated. That's a courtesy you do not offer in return. Why? Well, as has already been noted, but clearly needs noting once more, you can't win an honest discussion, which is why I know for a fact that this video is not intended for the non-believer. It's intended for the believer to alleviate them of their concerns, which is why I'm going to keep on going after videos like these, as said people are on the cusp of losing their faith. But what do you guys think? Is Imran Hussein incapable of learning, or is he just a run-of-the-mill liar? Do you find his futile attempts at damage control encouraging? Is there more we should be doing to correct such theistic nonsense? Did you notice anything I missed? If so, be sure to drop us a comment down below. I'll also link a few of our other videos at the end of this one, so be sure to check them out. Now don't forget that you can support us on Patreon. We are trying to make the channel ad-free, so be sure to check that out as well. And speaking of Patreon, I'd just like to thank all of the wonderful people who have donated to the channel over the years, giving a special thanks to the following people: Hannah Banghart, Matthew Kovac, Brad R, Mook Gay, John Schoenrock, Daniel Martinez, Evan Heinberg, Alexander Williams, and Atlas5. Take care now, and I'll see you next time.